smile, be happy. Okay, cool. There we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Heal Profoundly and Enduringly. I am very excited to be here today with Shari Alyse, America's Joy Magnet. And this show is all about bringing forward those tools and connections to assist us with healing at our deepest level possible. So I'm really excited to have Shari here. And thank you guys for joining us for this special episode, because she was kind of under the weather the last time that we had planned this. And so I'm so glad you've had time to recover. Let me take a moment to introduce Shari and then we can chat away, okay? So Shari is a TEDx and inspirational keynote speaker and #1 best-selling author and a joy guide. Her deep commitment to others is motivated by her own journey through childhood sexual abuse and other childhood traumas. And now she gets to use her voice to speak around the world on self-worth, mindset, overcoming obstacles, and how to live a joy-filled life. Shari believes that in the radical acceptance of ourselves, we can truly live a life we love. So thank you so much for being here and helping us journey back to ourselves.
Yes, thank you so much, Laura, for asking me. I'm so excited. I'm grateful to be here with you.
You're so welcome. And I know that one of the things we're going to be talking about today is joy, right? We're going to be talking about this concept of joy, what it means and why it's even important. I mean, obviously it feels good, right? Like it feels good to experience joy, but can you give us a little bit more information about that since you're the joy expert?
Sure. So first I want to say joy is different than happiness. I just want to start off the bat with that. It's often used interchangeably. And when people really actually think about it, they start to notice that there is a difference. Happiness is something I believe is external, so reliant on outside circumstances, and joy is internal. And studies have been shown that joy is found in the reconnection or connection to something or someone important. And so anytime we feel a connection to something, it's already internal, joy, it lights us up. And so I wanted to state that first, but joy is so much more than just like the color yellow. You know, as I said, actually in my TEDx talk, I said, or goat yoga.
Geez, that's
all these things, no, all of these things ignite our joy. For me and my personal journey, which we'll get into all of that, joy is about the full connection to myself. That's my meaning of joy. And anytime people are fully connected to themselves, and that means all parts of yourself, not only the highs, like the imperfection, the flaws, all of that. I think when we give ourselves that freedom, that is where joy lives.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you use the word freedom too, because I think that a lot of us are very attached to things that bring us the feelings that we're looking for, right? Like you were talking about happiness being external, like we end up as human beings developing attachments to all sorts of things, you know? And it could even be attachments to supplements that we're taking or foods that we're eating, or it's not just about the people in our lives and the situations that we're attached to, right? And so I think that can hold us back sometimes if we get too grippy onto that and just get too far away from our center.
Yeah, and unfortunately we're taught that in society, though, that these are the things that are going to make you feel better, you know, and so we get that attachment to things, to ideas, and so we're always in this pursuit of something, and then as soon as we get it, we realize, oh, that didn't actually do what I was hoping that it would do, and so then we go and pursue something else. And they've actually had research again that our pursuit of happiness has actually made us unhappier. So, and I think it has a lot to do with what you're saying, the attachment.
Yeah, and the fact that we're like fixated on some kind of agenda, you know, right? It's just like, this is my end result, and right. I need to get that in order to be what, you know, fulfilled, right. You know, accomplished, successful, however you want to define that. But yeah, being able to not connect the joy to anything other than that experience you have within you.
Yes. And that's what's so beautiful about joy, is that it's always available to us. Like, you don't need anything in order to experience it. You just have to connect to it.
Yeah. So how do people do that? for people who don't know how to do that? Like, where would they begin if they're like, okay, well, that sounds all well and good, but how do I actually integrate this into my day to day? Like, what would that look like?
It looks like self-connection. It looks like everything that we've been taught: self-awareness, mindfulness, meditation. It looks like allowing yourself to fully be with yourself, accepting where you're at, what you're feeling. Because joy lives inside. And so if we're not willing to go inside, then we're not able to connect with it. So whatever, I think individuals, because everyone has their own practice, right? Like not everybody's into meditation. I understand that, or they have this idea of what meditation looks like. And for me, meditation for me is my morning walks in nature. And I connect with my joy there because I'm fully connected. I'm doing the things that light me up. Yeah. And we all know what lights us up. Like, you know, we get that jittery feeling or whatever that is, and it could be anything. It could be something that you're doing for hours. It could be dancing around your room. It could be, you know, those are the things that your soul connects to, that you fully love and feel like are a part of you. And that, I believe, is our joy. And so anytime you could just connect to that.
I agree. And, you know, one of the things that I suggest to some of my clients too, that have been in a place where they feel like they've been stuck, because I don't truly believe that any of us are ever stuck, but we can feel that we are. They don't necessarily know how to begin with that, or don't necessarily remember how or what lights them up or how to feel that way.
Right.
And so I like to bring them back and remember when you were a kid and you were on the swings, you were riding your bike, or, you know, like really connecting to that part of you. It's not like you've never, ever in your entire life experienced even a moment of joy, right, or a moment of elation, you know, like bring yourself to that and allow yourself to just tap into the visual of that memory even.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful because it's so true. I always, you know, talk about how, well, we all know that as children, one of the reasons why we as adults, when we look at children, we feel that joy because we're remembering who we really are and our essence. And you know, some of the work that I do with my clients is have them look at a younger picture of themselves and be able to look at the essence of their child, see the innocence, remember what that feeling was, because that will be sparked. And yes, of course, there are people like myself who've had a traumatic childhood and stuff. Being able to sit with that, and we'll talk about, of course, about compassion, but be able to sit there present with that child and see their innocence and feel it, and then be able to connect that way as well, which helps with a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah, and I love that you keep putting your hand on your chest too, right? Because that is really about, yes, turning within, but also remembering where our safety lies. Because for those people who have had a history of childhood trauma or experiences that have been, let's say, rocking the nervous system a little bit, right? It can leave us not feeling safe enough to be able to explore something like joy, to be able to allow that free energy to kind of float about, because it's like, well, I don't know, like, when's the other shoe gonna drop?
Right. And I'm going to be transparent because I think we do a disservice when we're not. You know, I'm challenged with anxiety, like, and I didn't know that for years. I actually thought that where I was living was just the norm. And I remember my doctor talking about it with me for years. And I was like, no, I don't, you know. And then I finally sat with it and I realized that he was right. And one of the reasons why the heart is so important is because of what you just said, that in the mornings, if I wake up and I could feel my nervous system already in that anxious state, even when I just open my eyes, this connection to my heart, to my center, to my safety, immediately pulls the defenses down, reminds me that I'm okay. So I think that's why I touch that. Is interesting.
No, it's so funny too, because two things on that. One is every night before I go to bed, one of the only ways that I can just have that final drift off into sleep is putting one hand on my heart and one hand on my belly. And I do it like under my shirt, like skin to skin, right? Like offering that to myself, like I'm giving an offering to myself. And it helps me, it just soothes me, right?
Yeah, it is self-soothing. I mean, nurturing touch anyway, any of this, you know, anytime that we can hold ourselves, you know, soothes all of that. And it is part of my morning practice, by the way, is when I open my eyes to put my hand on my heart and say thank you and feel my heartbeat and remember where I'm at. this is how I start my day.
That's so beautiful.
Now I want to try yours at the end of the day.
I know, right? I know. And it's funny because I was just doing a journaling practice this morning, and the journal prompt was about like 5 precious things about yourself, or things that you really, love about yourself. And one of the things that they were encouraging us to do in these prompts was putting your hand on your heart and just allowing your body to relax and sinking into, like, as if there's a warm ember in your heart space, just kind of warming up and allowing it to talk to you and tell you what messages it has. And the first message that came up was, you're going to be okay, which is so funny. That's exactly what you just said. And that's what's so beautiful, is like the heart can speak so simply.
Yes.
And it can say the same thing to a number of people, but be felt completely differently for each person.
Yes. So magical. And it's one of the biggest challenges for us, is to connect here instead of here, and I know that I've done it. I've lived in my mind so much. But what's really great about any practice that people take on is, obviously, the more we practice, the better we get at recognizing it, and then being able to drop back into the heart.
Right. And that it's habitual not to connect to that space. So
right.
Once we create that consistency and reliability for ourselves, we can just automatically sink in. So tell us, since you've already shared a little bit of your morning routine, your hand on your heart, can you share a little bit about just your day to day and how you sink into loving yourself and guiding yourself compassionately through each day?
Now, because
do it. I love it.
No, I also get, so when I'm fully connected, I get the, people know when you're connected really with I get very tingly all up in here. And it's because, as you said, that this is my healing practice. I know you haven't asked, but I start every day in the shower, so twice a day, by hugging myself. This for me has been, I can get emotional right now, life-changing for me, healing. As I mentioned, childhood abuse, trauma, and it was in 1981. I'll just share really quickly, not too much. And so nobody was talking about it at the time. Oprah wasn't out or anything like that, to speak openly about it. And so I was 7 years old and struggling with my own emotions alone. And so it must be like 5 years now, I was just taking a shower, and all of a sudden I started having flashbacks, like the most real ones that I've had, where I wasn't completely disassociated and disconnected. And the words that came out of my mouth, so I was crying, sobbing, and the words that came out of my mouth was, all I needed was a hug.
Oh, wow.
And so I heard, for me, God say, so give her a hug. And right there in the showers, when I wrapped my arms around myself, and I just felt just this whoosh, this rush of love, of healing, of safety. And so now I do that twice a day, because I shower twice a day, because it's just the most special place for me. And I teach it to my clients. And so when you say, what do you do with your day? That's what jumps out first, because that always reminds me that I am okay.
And you know what I love so much about that, other than just the yumminess of it, the fact that, when we do return to ourselves and we allow ourselves to connect to that core of who we are, we receive our own sacred medicine, right? And that's what's so beautiful about you just receiving that information that came to you when you were taking a moment to connect with yourself and to listen and to receive, even if you didn't know you were doing it.
Right.
And you listened to it. And that's what's so funny. Yes, there's all of these coaches and experiences and things to do out there to better ourselves and to learn more about ourselves, right? But really what it comes down to is listening to our own wisdom and listening that we have that medicine within us. And all we need to do is open our minds to receive those messages. And the most potent medicine for us is going to come through naturally when we do that consistently.
So powerful. I always tell people the willingness. When you first, when people go, what is the first step towards healing or any of that? I always go, the willingness to want to.
Mhm.
Because when you're open, like you said, like that, you will find the way, the path will open, the barriers will be removed. It's not saying it's going to be easy, but then you can hear those messages. So, I've been on a healing journey for like 2 decades and it's always, there's always that next layer and that next layer. And so it was only 5 years ago that I went to this next layer that has, changed my life. And that was because of the willingness and the openness to hear that message, like you said. And it is powerful medicine.
Yeah. And the confidence and the trust to know that it's effective,
Mhm.
like the belief in yourself that that's going to work. Because it's funny, I woke up this morning a crankpot. I woke up this
I don't
morning,
know anything about that.
right? Exactly. I woke up this morning and I was just like, oh, good morning. Like, hello. And so it was funny because I just kept saying to myself, like, I desire to offer myself that Zen moment. I desire to offer myself, I made a decision and I set my intention. I was like, it's okay that you're feeling this way, but it's also going to lift. It's going to lift because you know exactly how to bring yourself back to that space.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take very long. It really doesn't take very long, especially when you're practiced with it. I mean, I think I chanted like 5 times and then I was like, okay, I'm good. No, but it was a choice because I could have allowed those thoughts. Honestly, sometimes it's easier to allow those thoughts to take over for a lot of clients I know, to just get kind of, what I call it is lost in the human sauce, like get lost in the human sauce because it comes up and it's just like, and then you just start swimming in it, and so it's you just deciding, this is how I choose to feel today. This is what I desire for my day to go like.
Yeah, I just shared this actually, I think a couple of days ago about my morning. I had woken up and I was just feeling like really sad and down, and things in my life that I perceived should be going a certain way hadn't been. And I just felt really heavy in the morning. I picked up my phone. I looked at an email, a project that I was hoping had fallen through. And then the next thing I know, I'm like spinning in my head, going down the negative spiral, down that staircase. And I recognized it super quick because of the constant practice. And I was like, get up, because I knew that by shifting out of not only that physical place, but that emotional place, that I could change that. And so I was like, everything was like, oh, it rained yesterday. Your hiking trails are going to be muddy. Like all the excuses can come up.
Yeah.
But I just pushed through. It was like, I don't know if you've Mel Robbins, her
Oh, I love Mel Robbins.
5-second rule, like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it was like, just make that decision and go. And so I did. And along my hike, that my mood lifted. I became more creative. I ended up having a really productive morning. And then by afternoon time, a better opportunity came along for me than the one that I had lost that morning.
Of course it did.
I was like, which I actually just did this morning before our talk here. I was like, okay. So yeah, the choice, and that was a choice, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to get myself out of that space, but I just knew, push through, and then things changed.
And I really love that you used that phrase, push through, because that's something that, oh my goodness, for 20 years that I've been a therapist, my clients get stuck in all the time, but they get stuck in, I just have to push through. I just have to push through. And it's like, no. There's a difference between I have to push through in order to either meet someone's expectations, to be productive, to be successful, to get all the things done that I have to get done to be worthy. And I'm choosing to push through out of a desire to feel a certain way. Because I know that this is in my highest good. I know that this is going to serve me at my deepest level. And so I think that's a really, really important point that you brought up by using that phrase, right? Is because a lot of people get stuck in push through and like, I got to get there to my destination.
Right.
Versus, no, it's about you being your own cheerleader and advocate, right? There's a different flavor to it.
Yes. Oops, sorry. I don't know if you hear feedback. I hear feedback.
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to be our biggest cheerleader. Like, I love, first of all, that you said that about push through. I didn't even recognize that I said it, but it's become this, yeah, I could see also the transformation as you're mentioning that, where the push through did used to be about others, did used to be about what I think people needed from me or what I expected that I should have, as opposed to where I am now, which was, this is going to be the best for you. Getting up out of this bed, getting out of your head, going for that. It's going to transform your day. It's like such a different feeling. So I love that you just, pointed that out.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so important for people to listen to shows like this and to read books like yours, Love Yourself Happy. Because it's important to educate yourself about what's available within your field so that you are then motivated to make those choices and make that decision. Like for me, I'm able to know, since I've educated myself about it, that when I move my physical body, that is energy that is going to then stir up energy within my field, within my mood, that it's all a feedback loop. And some people just don't know those kinds of things. And so to just, dive into a book or dive into a video that they're watching, to allow themselves to learn as they go, that, we're a work in progress and a masterpiece all at the same time.
Yeah. And that's actually how my spiritual healing journey began, was literally just through books. It was, over 20 years ago, after a major heartbreak, and I just needed some comfort. And I used to be really intrigued, when it was called self-help, I think in the bookstores, and I would just go in that aisle and things I was drawn to. And I remember just sitting by candlelight, like in New York City, in my apartment alone. And at the end of a work shift, and just sitting reading with these words that just comforted my soul. And it just began to open me up to that there were different possibilities than the ones that I was just seeing right here. Because all I knew was from this lens. And I was like, oh, I could look over here. And that simply started from a book. And then it became, more than videos. And I was following speakers. And then I was just like, my whole world was opened up. And we don't know what we don't know until we choose to know.
It's so true. And I again love your phrases, is that concept of opened up, because that's exactly how I describe it after I had sepsis 5 years ago, which most people would say, oh my gosh, that's the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to you. Yes, it is. But it's also the best thing that ever happened to me, because it opened up a world of possibilities and self-understanding and knowledge and experience that I literally had no idea even existed. It was like all of these extra dimensions available to me. And I was just like, whoa, like I was happy before, but now I'm like, exactly. That's why I was like screaming it from the rooftops. I was just like, I didn't even know this was available to me. And that's the thing, like, no matter how many people would have told me that, and how much they would have drilled it into my brain to do, I would have been like, but I'm happy. I'm fine. I love my life. I'm good. And so it sucks that sometimes it takes those situations and experiences in our lives to wake us up. But that's why you and I are doing what we're doing, right? It's to help people be educated about these kinds of things, to be preventive. Like I tell people, don't be Laura Mazzata and need to get like clobbered over the head with something like sepsis, to choose to immerse within yourself at every single layer.
Absolutely. And it's, I had to get a physical ailment too. I mean, I had already started the spiritual journey, but to really connect within, because truth be told, when I had such trouble with meditation, because it was scary. As soon as I felt myself like starting to connect to something, I would just like jump out, and because it was hard to be in there. And it wasn't until I started dealing with stomach issues and got pancreatitis and dealing with all this stuff that I felt like it was like all my defenses were down. And it was like, okay, again, open. I don't know what I'm being told here. And that, again, that openness opened the world of possibilities for me, and to really then start looking within. And so, yeah, we don't have to go to the extremes to find it, to search for it, to allow it. But unfortunately, or fortunately, it often takes that.
Yeah. And what do you think would be a good suggestion for people when they're saying like, okay, I can start doing these practices and I can start implementing, putting my hand on my heart, giving myself a hug, connecting within. What I always think about is, I know for me, with my own experience and with my clients, it's like, okay, so there's that, but then there's always pushing the envelope just a little bit more, just a little bit more, going out of your comfort zone just a little bit more on a day-to-day basis to expand that so that you can understand and realize that there's always a deeper level that you can sink in. So what kind of thoughts or suggestions do you have around that, if any?
Around going to that deeper level?
Yeah, like if people are saying like, all right, well, I'm already meditating every day, or I'm already, going for my walk in nature, I'm giving myself a hug. What would be like a next step deeper for them that they could start to cultivate?
Well, I think foundationally for everything is the work on self-compassion, because I think that it's really challenging, to be honest. And I find this with my clients, for them to go to a deeper level without having the practice of self-compassion. Because what often comes up, and the reason why I believe we're struggling so much with the connection, is because obviously of the things that we find, the things we don't want to deal with, the things we've been denying, suppressing, avoiding, and running from. And so before I start anything, even, with that self-connection, is the idea or the practice of self-compassion. Because I think so many of us have learned that this judgment of ourselves and not being gentle and kind with ourselves, that we're like, actually, if we do that, we're going to become complacent. And we're not going to be motivated. And so we often think that by being harsh with ourselves, that then we're going to actually, follow through with that goal. And so my suggestion, and I don't even know if this answered your question or not, because I don't think, ultimately, I don't think you can go to a deeper level without having that landing pad of compassion.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what I would encourage people to do. And however, whether that's with a therapist or with a coach, or, listening to people who specialize in self-compassion and those practices, to really look for those, because it's been my savior for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I always tell people. I'm like, criticism is not a motivator.
No.
One of my favorite lines.
I love that.
It
could be momentarily. I think sometimes for some people momentarily, like, people like who wanting to like lose weight, and I don't see it, but they call themselves names, or what's wrong with you? And it gets them to get on that diet or whatever it is. And I'm just throwing an example out, but ultimately over the long run, it does not help. And over the long run, they end up feeling worse about themselves, which then begins the cycle all over again.
Yeah. I mean, just like this morning, my son was like having a meltdown because he looked at the clock and he's like, oh, it's 7:30. I have to go. I'm like, buddy, you have so much time. Like, it's okay. He was just emotional. He was, he was just kind of panicking, And I just went up to him and just enfolded him in a hug. And I'm like, buddy, it's okay. Everything's going to be fine. I'm here to help you, and that when I approach him that way, instead of if I'm also feeling stressed or I'm also feeling harried, I'm going to be like, it's fine. Just shut up. Like,
Yeah, you're gonna be fine. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But instead it's just like, just meet them where they are, meet yourself where you are. And just as I enfold him in that hug and say, it's going to be okay. I'm here to help you. Doing that for ourselves. Like, what do we do for kiddos or for pets or for those loved ones of ours that are so precious to us, right? Like, we enfold them, we hold space for them. And that when we bring in that vibration, it's like he came down so fast. So fast. It's so beautiful because that's exactly what happens internally. We can do that with other people, but that's what happens internally with us when we attend to ourselves.
I mean, Laura, first of all, that's beautiful. I love that you did that with him. Like, no, I wish more parents that there was that, and that holding the space, because that's what I learned as a child, because no one would talk about it, because it was pushed through, because it was all of that. I didn't learn how to hold that emotional space for me to sit with my feelings. So I spent so many years denying them and running from them and using food or whatever else my coping mechanisms were to continue to push down those feelings. So I just want to honor you and just holding that space. I don't know. I love that. But yeah, we would never like talk to our friends the way, or people we love, the way that we speak to ourselves and are hard on ourselves. You know, like someone gets fired, if your friend gets fired from a job, you want to be like, you're such an idiot. What is wrong with you? Like, how could you do
Right.
that? You know, like,
Exactly.
I'm so sorry, you know, like there'll be a better job for you. Like that's the work that I'm passionate about sharing with people, because we're only going to continue to fight with ourselves. Like life is already challenging enough, you know, with the things that come at us that are unexpected. But if we're part of that challenge, you know, if we're part of that difficulty, the way that we treat ourselves, we're never going to be able to move through to the other side. So in what ways can we, you know, show up for ourselves and be there with ourselves? And, you know, even just asking, how are you feeling? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I get, as you see, like worked up over this because I was so hard on myself for so long and didn't even realize that I had that running tape in my mind, you know.
Right. And in your mind, right? And you just needed to connect to your heart,
Yeah.
you know, because we do. When we criticize, when we judge, when we evaluate what's going on around us, whether it's in our lives or somebody else's, it's a mind and egoic process. It's not a
Right.
heart process. But when we come from that, oh my gosh, I love you so much. Like, it doesn't matter what you went through. I just love you so much. Like, you know, like none of the details, none of the stories, none of it is relevant because you're here right now. And I adore being in your presence. I mean, it's that simple.
It's such a it's such a beautiful feeling, because
Yeah.
I used to not be able to do that and be there and present with it. And now when I do mirror work, which I still do,
Mm.
and I look in the mirror and I get my little tingles there because I'm so fully present with myself. And I look in the mirror and I love who is looking back at me. And that for me has been the biggest success in my life, is being able to love who I see back.
I love that you're still doing mirror work. It's so many people are so resistant to it. And I remember when I first started doing it and I laughed at myself at first and then I felt like an idiot and then I got pissed and I went through all of the emotions to adjust to mirror work. So I can totally get why people avoid it and think that it's dumb. I thought it was dumb when I first started. Like, this is cheesy, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's incredibly powerful, especially when you decide that this is an intentional practice
Yep.
to connect with yourself.
Every day. Like, I don't care I don't care if a coach is therapist, thought leaders, like this, it doesn't, how evolved, like we have to connect with ourselves. I'm curious, like how often, there's been days if I don't do it that I'll go like half a day before I've even looked at myself, like made eye contact with myself. And it happened like 2 weeks ago. I was such like a busy morning and everything. And I was overwhelmed and I did not do I did my this morning practice, but it's really important for me. And I think to see ourselves, like for that connection. And so I was like driving back from something and I caught a glimpse of myself in the rear view mirror. And I went, and I was at a red light and I said, hi.
Oh, I love
Like these are the conversations that I have with myself, and it sounds cheesy to some people and it sounds like that's crazy, but it's life changing again too. It's so important.
well, because it's just like we all know what it feels like when that loved one comes in on a plane and we meet them at the airport and we're just like, oh, I'm so excited to see you. And that's the feeling that I got when you were just saying that you saw yourself in the rearview mirror and it was just like, oh, hi, you know, like
Yes.
that, like that's a whole different level too. It's not just loving yourself and being compassionate, but being excited to see yourself, being excited to meet your own gaze.
Uh-huh.
That's phenomenal. No wonder you're called America's Joy Mom.
I do get excited, and my fiance is always like, he'll see me because he's walked in the room before and I'm in the mirror like doing like silly stuff, having a dance party with myself and everything, and just looks at me and I'm like, I love having fun with me, like, because it wasn't always like this, you know, or it was superficial. It was like what I thought I had to be. And now I genuinely like love my company and I genuinely love seeing me. And it's not that it's always rainbows, you know, and all that. It is hard, but I can also sit with myself in those more challenging moments. And it's from doing the work every day. And that's all I want to do is share with everybody is this work.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there anything else that you would like to share? Just like one tip or piece of wisdom that you think could be a good takeaway for people?
Well, I shared my favorite, which was the self-hug. That for me, again, I'm actually just going to share how I love hugging myself, like the actual technique of it.
Okay, great.
And there's no perfection in this. Like if you don't do it this way, you don't have to. But I always take my dominant hand and I always put it right under here. And then I take the extra one and place it right on my shoulder and my head gently on my hand. I close my eyes and then I just squeeze. And I often speak, I love you. I'm here for you. I'm grateful for you. We got this, whatever it is that we need to feel and hear. And the reason why I just wanted to highlight that again is because beyond just the emotional feeling, I mean, nurturing touch, releases oxytocin. I mean, it has all the physical benefits. It lowers our blood pressure. And I just think, and well, I believe because it's worked with all my clients and they say they don't go a day without it. So I just wanted to really highlight that and share that it showing up for yourself in that way, I think lets the body and brain relax and feel safe.
That's what I was going to say too. It's that you bring in different layers of our being, right?
Yeah.
Like you bring in the fact that we have touch and we're bringing in even our thoughts by speaking certain words in our voice. So we're hearing things. Like the more senses that we bring forward, the more safe and nurtured.
Yeah. Deep breaths. I mean, you get it all right there. It's like a whole like spa of love. And then the last thing that I'll just say is just be gentle with yourself.
Yeah. Right.
That's
self-forgiveness in every moment. Remembering that all of your decisions are the right decisions and help you move forward on your path. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I end like literally every chapter in my book is left with be gentle with yourself.
Oh, I love that. Good. See, you're programming that into people's internalize it. I love that so much. So how can people find you and connect with you? Like what would next steps be if somebody wants to continue pursuing really returning to this joyful space within?
So that's just that's just really inviting everyone to return back home to themselves and the desire and passion that I have for everyone to feel what it feels like to be back home. So that's where this emotion is coming from. So they can reach out. They can go to my website, which is sharialyse.com. They can email me directly, which is shari@sharialyse.com. I have a 4-week program coming up called Journey to Joy. And I'm going to share my personal roadmap to joy, 4 weeks of that. So that starts November 7th. And they can follow me on social media. Everything's Shari Alyse.
I love that. November 7th is my mom's birthday.
Is it? Oh, happy birthday, Mom.
And celebrate her while people are stepping into their joy. So exciting. So definitely reach out to Shari. She is a mover and a shaker. She is full of love and authenticity. And that's why I was so excited to have her here and to spend time with us. So thank you everyone who has been here live and on the replay. Definitely reach out to Shari. Let us know if you have any questions in the comments. Shari, thank you for spending this time with me.
Thank you, Laura. Honestly, it's been a great pleasure. My gratitude for you.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody, have a good day. And I will see you on Monday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern for another episode of Heal Profoundly and Enduringly. Bye for now.